I will say that the shootings are happening by white supremacists that's on the Chicago Police Department and other white supremacists that's coming in to Chicago and shooting on the weekend on their time off. You know, on their days off, hey, let's go kill some black people. On the Labor Day weekend, on the holiday weekends, let's go out and kill black folks. Now, the reason why I believe this, I want you to watch two clips. Now, this clip is going to be white people wearing masks that look just like black men. I want you to watch it. It's very scary, but let's roll these clips.
Somewhat new and something very new. What I'm wearing right now is a dermal synthetics Derek mask, and it fits great, as you can see. I don't have any makeup on under my eyes right now, but I am wearing my contacts and have a nice shiny bald head. The other things that are really new are these. And this is a smaller version of the normal gloves from CFX, and they are able to skin match the color of the mask to the gloves. I've had SPFX gloves before, and while they fit pretty well, they were very poorly made. They ripped a lot, and they really didn't feel as great as these do. As you can see, they really match the color of the mask very well, and they don't really look that big, so you can really get away with it.
Now, the question most of you probably asking, why would they make something like that? You saw how realistic those masks look? You saw the guy had the gloves that look like black hands? So, think about this. The white supremacists go and get these masks and these gloves. They put on hoodies or whatever, get in cars and just roll up on innocent black people and start killing them. And then, notice, nobody never know who did the shooting. People from Chicago tell me it's cameras all over the place, and none of these shootings are never solved. You know why they're not?
Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai. All praises due to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Akakwadash. Double honor to the apostle of great millstone, of whom I learned this truth. Peace and blessings to the elect. Alright, and you know, this is a video that I saw. This is a guy, Jake. He has like a news channel, but he's more like African based. His content, but you know, but basically, you know, Esau, right? These Edomites, these C.I.A, this former C.I.A chief, admits using masks, right? So, you know, so there are you know, like slack here. What happened here? 1 second. Yeah, so you see how the, you know, how they 1 second. yeah, so you see how they have the mask, and you know, um, it's real. It's it looks like human. It looks realistic, right? So you might see a person that you think is a brother, what's a damn Edomite wearing a mask, right? And this is what's been going on in America, all right? There's a lot of these killings of Jake in these so-called black neighborhoods. A lot of them, they are CIA, KKK, these what so-called white supremacists, right? And they are, and basically they're putting it out there. They're putting it out there, all right, right in our face that that these Edomites are killing our people, all right, and Esau has a pleasure, um of destroying our people, man, right, by any means, right. They get off with that, they are their blood, like their bloodthirst. They have perpetual, a bloodthirst, man. You know. But I will get the scripture. Um, second Second Corinthians 2:11. That Satan should get the advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Yeah, and that's a big device. Putting mask. These Edomite guys, like putting on mask. You know, and going and spinning the block and destroying our people, and basically um like you don't know, like it's just chaos, they call it order of the chaos, and basically Jake, cause let's say Jake, like is Jake, and they get shot or they get killed or whatever, and then you try and get the police involved, and it's all like a big, this is a big scandal, man. You know, we need Yahweh Shemashai, man, because these people are very corrupt, man, and they're very cunning, right? And we know that these are like this is a part of Esau's his ammo, right? This is Esau, man. You know, you know. So Genesis 2, and I started at 21, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. All right, so this is Isaac. All right, his wife name was Rebecca, because because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebecca his wife conceived, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" And she went to inquire of the Lord. Right, so so she went, she prayed, and spoke with the Lord, and the Lord, he said to her, the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, right? So even though these two children came out of our womb, the Lord said that two nations are going to be separate, right? So two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, the elder shall serve the younger, right? And we know that who is superior, uh, who has like superior genetics, right? It's so-called Israelite man, right? Jake, right? And then Esau, he doesn't have superior, like Esau doesn't have superior genetics. He has, recessive like genetics, and and like that's why they can't stand the sun. Right now they have the whole heat wave in Europe, right? And a lot of them is dying, right? Because that's judgment, man. And the one people shall stronger than the other people, and their elder shall serve the younger. Right? And that's what's gonna go back to that. You Edomites are gonna serve, right? Are gonna serve, the so-called black man, the Israelites, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, you know, starting with Ephraim down to Issachar, the 10 tribes. So the 12 tribes, right? These Edomites are going to serve us, man, right? Second Ezra 6 and 9, for Esau is the end of the world, right? So we're seeing the end of their world. And then Jacob is beginning of it that follows. So this is what we're approaching, right? And it's amazing, right? So like we've been, out there highways and byways telling our people, that the Lord is coming, and that there's gonna be destruction, right? Repent, right? And you see, and they're not listening, just like the days of Noah, man. Right? So, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, right? So he didn't have no pigmentation. He wasn't hairy, but basically, he had like a recessive gene, right? He had lack of melanin, and they called his name Esau, which means wasted away is he, Ishashua. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. Jacob means supplant. And Isaac was 60, so 60 years old, and she bare them, right? And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, right? So Esau goes hunting, he goes fishing, he hunts game, he kills his deer, moose. Esau kills anything, man, and they hunt, right? you know, and the boy grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents, right? So Jacob, likes to relax, chill, right? Like spend time, with his family. That's Jake. We like to chill, relax, have yayan, eat, and have a good time. And Isaac loved Esau, right? So, Isaac, he loved Esau, right? Because he was a great hunter. He prepared him some good food because he did eat of his venison. But Rebecca loved Jacob, right? So Rebecca loved Jacob, Jake's a mama's boy, even to this day, right? That's always been our people's spirit, especially Judah, Benjamin, Levi, they're mama's boys, that's just how the Mosai, set up, right? So, but let's get Genesis 27, right? And basically, like you could read how when Jacob basically supplanted his father Isaac for the blessing, right? And basically, Jacob supplanted his father Isaac, and then Isaac blessed him. But when then Esau came, then Esau was pissed. He's like, "What the fuck? What's going on?" And then he saw that Jacob got the blessing, right? And then Esau was pissed. So let's get Genesis 27. I start at 39. Now Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, let's read 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. So Esau was pissed, right? Because um, Rebecca, because Rebecca um, used her son Jacob to supplant Isaac, right? Isaac's father, right? But it was all set up like that. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above, right? And this is what Esau has. He runs the whole earth. Right? Job 9:24, the earth is given into his hands. If not, where and who is he, man? Right? They run all this whole financial industry, this international monetary fund, you know, you know, everything, his whole money system, everything. You know, you gotta go to him, right? The fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above, right? He has his satellites, he has his planes, his jets, his submarines, he has his what do you call them? Yachts and stuff, right? Esau is living the life right now. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother. So yeah, so his blessings is through bloodshed, right? Through him, like coming here to the Americas, slaughtering, the Gadites, the so-called Native Americans or indigenous Americans. All right, Reuben, right, Issachar, right. Really, all the tribes. Esau came with vengeance, man, and he used the sword, whether it be the Gatling gun, right, in the mid 1800s, that biological warfare, even to this day, his syphilis experiments by the Tuskegee Airmen, right? A whole bunch of different shit, man, that Esau is doing to this day, man. By the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother Jacob. And this was the time that we are approaching, that these Edomites is gonna fork up everything that they have. Right? It's gonna Everything that they have is gonna be vomited out of them, man. Everything. Right? You're gonna like once you vomit all your riches up, everything, you're gonna go into hardcore slavery according to the Bible, Revelation 13:9. He that leave into captivity shall go into captivity, right? And that's just how it is. That's how it's always been like that. Every empire, there's always been slavery, right? Slavery is, like every empire that has began in this in the earth, right? There's always been slaves, right? And then there's always been rulers, right? So there's no in between. And now these Edomites, and not just gonna be you Edomites, it's really all you nations that has fought against Jerusalem, right? Yahweh Shai, our big brother, right, is gonna come, right? And he's going to take everything by force, right? Against their will. Right? And that's why Esau is scared. Right? Wants to say that you're inciting hate speech and all this shit. By the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Yep. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him, Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So that's why um Rebecca, she like she told Jacob, like you have to flee, you gotta go. So the Jacob went into over Laban, right? His which is should be like Rebecca would be like a brother of Laban, right? So and then Laban, he had you know he had his two daughters. He had Rachel and then Leah, right? And then basically Jacob, um he really wanted Rachel, but basically Laban, he deceived them, like he deceived Jacob, and he gave Leah to be his wife, and then basically Jacob had to serve another 7 years and acquire land and wealth, right? And then basically he separated from Laban, and it came back, and then basically Esau, Esau saw Jacob or whatever, and they did like a truce, but basically Esau, they have perpetual hatred right now because you know Esau broke the brotherly covenant, right? Because even when let's get Obadiah 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So basically, during the when we were being into captivity under Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar came and allowed the Edomites, um, they basically like pointed out, like they pointed Jake out, right? And they did a lot of stuff, right? And they looted with those Babylonians, these Cushites, and basically they and like the Edomites, they played a major role, all right? So Esau, Esau, they did a lot of stuff, man. So and in that day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day when strangers carried away captive his forces, the foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou as one of them, right? So our people was being put into captivity, right? And those Edomites, they played a major role in our people's downfall during that time. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked up on their affliction in the day of their calamities, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those in his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have entered upon those of his that did remain in the day of distress. Right. So these Edomites, they have a lot of things to pay for. Right. So that's the day of the Lord and the future. Right. So this is and Obadiah is one of the shortest books, but it's prophetic because this goes into Esau's beginning and then it goes into his end. Right? So Obadiah 1 and 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. So the house of Jacob is Judah, Benjamin, Levi, shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph, so the 10 tribes, Ephraim down to Issachar, and the house of Esau for stubble, right? So so house of Jacob and the house of Joseph or Israel, right? Israel's a big nation, man. All right, and after the 1,000 years of captivity that you're going to serve, right? And it's not going to be, um, it's not going to be like a fast 1,000 years. It's going to be a nice 1,000 years because you're going to have to rebuild, you know, like you're going to have to rebuild, our land, right? Which is known as the land of Israel, right? And you're going to have to, rebuild, right? Because the earth's gonna be in great destruction after this third world war, right? So you know, so all the plastic, all the all the pollution, the oil, and all this shit, all this shit that we live in, this whole is messed up, man. Because of this, these damn devils are in power, man. The house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall be no remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. So yeah, there's gonna be no remaining of the Edomites, right? After 1,000 years, right? Um, you're gonna be no more. There's gonna be no son, no nephew. Your whole your whole lineage, right, will be rooted out. And we don't know how the Lord's gonna do it, but He's gonna do it. All right, and there's gonna be no more Edomite nation. We don't know how the if they're gonna come back as different. Only we will know in the kingdom. We don't know, but these Edomites are going to after 1,000 years, there's gonna be no more Esau. So with that, like this, praise is due to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Kwadash. Double honor to pass a great milestone. Peace and blessings to the elect show.